I'm Fiorella Egocheaga, and you're listening to the Headsmack Podcast.
You are listening to conversations with Misfits, Mavericks, and Trailblazers.
Hey, welcome to the Headsmack Podcast. My name is Povolni, and I am excited to have another Misfit with me. And I have Fiorella Egocheaga. How's that?
Perfect.
So excited to have you on, Laura. And Laura is a visionary entrepreneur, sales expert, AI-driven business strategist who has refined and redefined client acquisition, revenue scaling, business transformation for high-growth founders. With over 10 million spent in digital advertising and over 280 million in revenue generated for clients, she is a force in the world of performance marketing, AI-driven automation, and conscious capitalism. Also, Lara is a business builder. She's a movement maker. Her work goes beyond scaling companies. She is designing systems that reshape how businesses operate, how leaders think, and how wealth is created. That's amazing, and I'm excited to talk about that. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me, brother.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun, and so you've got a lot there that we can talk about, and I think anybody that is a business owner is going to get a lot of value from this, especially if they're looking at growth, especially if they're looking at incorporating AI. But before we start going into that, I want to hear a little bit more about you. Tell me about little Lara. Laura, am I saying that wrong?
Just say Laura.
Laura, all right. Tell me about little Laura. How did you get started in this, and how did you kind of get to where you're at right now?
Yeah, so I got started in entrepreneurship or making money online when I was around 16 years old. I think it was like 2011. I was like a junior in high school. And it was wild because one day I just wanted something and I asked my dad for it, and I had just heard the words, "We can't afford it, we can't afford it, we can't afford it," like just so much. It was like etched in my mind. And one day I was just like, why? Why
Yeah.
can't we afford it? What's going on here? Because I would start to see other people that would go to my school and they were getting like brand new BMWs once they turned 16, or like a Volkswagen, whatever. And like we couldn't afford a car for me, but everybody I knew was getting a brand new car,
Yeah.
or a car once they turned 16. I was like, why can't we do that? And I just went online, typed in on Google how to make money online. I ended up finding an affiliate marketing company, and I started pushing their offers, and I made my first $20,000 online in like 6 months. And
Wow.
I thought I had it all figured the fuck out. Guess what? Head smack. I didn't.
So was there anybody else in your family that was an entrepreneur, or were you kind of the first one to kind of step into the idea of entrepreneurship?
So that's a great question. I didn't know. So like I'm a first generation immigrant. So my mom and my dad chose to come to America when I was 5 years old. And I didn't really have any connection with my dad's side of the family. He left with like broken relationships.
Yeah.
And later on, I find out, like later on when I'm reconnecting with my family and I have money, I find out that my whole dad's side of the family's entrepreneurs.
Oh, wow.
But he was the school guy. He was I gotta go to school and learn everything and get it perfect. So he imposed that on me. So my mom also walked out on me and my dad when I was 7 years old. Like she literally told us she was going on vacation, and she just never came back and got remarried 3 days later.
Wow.
So like turmoil.
Yeah.
But when I reconnected with my dad's side of the family, I learned so much about my bloodline and how we are rooted in entrepreneurship. But growing up and having these thoughts, my dad would make me small. He would shut me down. He would shut it all down. And after I did inner work, I was like, oh, he was just, he was resistant to his dad. His dad didn't treat him well. He had family trauma around his dad. And he did, because his dad was such a visionary that he would just spend money and have faith that it would come back to him. And sometimes his
Oh, wow.
projects didn't work out. And my dad was the like financial controller, and he was like, don't do that.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah.
like,
Don't take risks. Don't take, go with the sure thing. Right.
exactly. So that was his personality type. He's now an entrepreneur, so he's evolved so much and
Right.
he's healed so much. So yeah, was there people in my family? Yeah, we come from a bloodline of entrepreneurs.
That's so cool. That's so cool. And so that first thing that you decided that you're going to do affiliate marketing, and you made a decent amount of money within 6 months. Did that ignite the entrepreneur in you, or did you like say, hey, that was kind of a great thing that happened one time. I'm going to go and find a real job after I graduate, or I'm going to listen to my dad and I'm going to do school. Like what was the next phase for you?
Yeah, so I made $20K in 6 months as a junior, and it just went to my head. I was like, why am I listening to people who
Oh, no.
who don't even make this much in 6 months? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
I like literally didn't go to school for like half of my senior year, and I only came back because they were like, hey, we realize you haven't been to school for half of the year. We're going to expel you and you're not going to graduate if you don't come back. So I came back, passed all my tests. I went from like almost a 5.0 GPA down to like a 3.8 because I didn't show up for the last year.
Yeah.
But I graduated, and like after I graduated, I would remember having like nightmares of not being able to graduate.
Oh, wow.
That was like a little trauma thing, but yeah, so it did spark a fire in me, but because I was always searching for something outside of myself, it caused me to go in a bad direction. Well, not bad, everything's perfect. So I had to experience what it was like to be addicted to drugs. I took that money. I spent the majority of it. I didn't put it, I didn't like save it. I didn't have financial literacy.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of that. And I think I had like my last $500, and I was like, wait, what the fuck? Where'd all the money go?
Yeah.
And I blamed it on my ex-girlfriend. I'm like, you spent all my money. And I took my last $500 and I bought weed. And I started selling weed, dude.
Yeah.
And then I got into this like toxic pattern of using drugs. I got addicted to Xanax, Molly. I was selling it too. It was just not healthy, and I was in very toxic relationships, and my environment was reinforcing the belief that I wanted to be Pablo Escobar, and I wanted to scale myself into this $1 billion narco empire.
Wow.
And yeah, that was a lot. And then my great grandmother dies, and I have this dream with her, and we're at her house, and nobody's talking. It's just me and her. I have my duffel bag full of drugs on the table, and then there's my laptop on the table. So keep in mind, I made that money when I was 16. She doesn't die till I'm like 21. So I'm in this loop of self-destruction, and death hits.
Yeah.
Right? And so I'm in this dream, and she doesn't say anything, but I hear her tell me, stop this. Go back to the computer. Go back.
Wow.
And literally I woke up. I broke up with my girlfriend as soon as I woke up because we lived together. I was like, I'm out. I grabbed my TV and went to my grandma's house.
Wow. And so, was she like, why was she the person that did that? Was it just because of the death? Was it because she also had entrepreneurship? Like, why do you think that maybe it was her that was that messenger to you?
That's a really, really good question. I think it's a lot about the death, because that was the first time that I experienced, well, not the first time. It's the first time I experienced death with someone that I like grew up with and loved.
Yeah.
But the first time I experienced death was with my dad's dad when I was 13. But I didn't have that connection. I didn't even know he was an entrepreneur. They kept me in the dark.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know, and I didn't understand.
Right.
But it was the first time that someone I really loved and had a relationship with that died. and it was like a weird death. She went in because she had cancer before, like colon cancer. She fought it, beat it, went in for a checkup, and they didn't wake her up correctly. So she got into a coma and died. So it was a
Wow.
very
Traumatic and
weird, traumatic
unexpected. Yeah.
experience. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
very unexpected. But more than anything, she wasn't an entrepreneur, but she was the leader. She was the
Yeah.
matriarch of our family. Like,
Yeah.
she was the one at the top of the table, and the table was the table at her house.
Right. So when she said something, you paid attention, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. And so, so you started making life change. You started reevaluating your life. What was the next step? Like, what came after that? After you kind of cleared some stuff off, you said you moved to your grandma's house with just your TV. What happened next? Was it detoxing other things as well? Was it pursuing new things? What was that next phase like?
Yeah, so that's very interesting that you say that. So when I do that, I actually had a job. I wasn't being an entrepreneur. I was like selling drugs, and I had a job to like hide the money. I don't even know how long it's been, so I don't know if I'll get in trouble for saying this, but hypothetically,
Yeah, you can Google it after this interview and just text me and say, Paul, scrub that stuff.
So I had a job. I don't know if you ever heard of Nielsen. They're like the #1 market research company in the world.
Yeah.
So I worked at Nielsen, and it was the first time someone in my family had like a solid 45K a year salary.
Yeah.
And benefits. They were paying for my school, insurance, all these things. It was the first time that was attainable for my family, right?
Yeah.
And everybody was super proud of me. But every time I would drive to work, I wanted to die. Like, I would have flashes of just going and just
Wow.
dying, or like
Yeah.
getting in a car accident. And one day I literally was on Xanax and I hit a tree on the way to work.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
So, I mean, you got to just like wake up at some point. So what happened was I started consuming sales stuff because I had tried to launch an agency in between that time, and I failed. I was going like door to door and knocking on people's businesses and trying to sell SEO services. But I wasn't successful, and I realized I wasn't successful because of sales. So I started just consuming stuff.
That's interesting that you're selling SEO manually. Yeah. That's awesome. No, but what got you? First of all, what got you qualified for Nielsen, and what got you into digital marketing? Like, that's was that an offshoot from learning about affiliate marketing, or was that something else?
Exactly.
Okay.
So the reason I went into Nielsen is because I actually started at the bottom and worked my way up.
Okay.
So they had like seasonal jobs or whatever, and I would pick up a seasonal job and I worked my way up and got into like a solid role. But how I got into marketing was literally the affiliate marketing. I knew there was more stuff, so I started learning. I actually like bought Alex Becker's course on SEO, and that's when I started like selling stuff. And then like that failed, so I was just like, okay, I have this job, but I hate coming to work every month or every day. And so like, what do I got to do to fix this? Okay, I got to learn sales. Grant Cardone comes into my life. I learn or I read the 10X rule and Seller Be Sold. Changed my life. I would work out and just listen to this stuff. And it just so happened that my cousin, he started off as a Nissan car sales rep, but he worked his way up. And then he became a new car sales director at a car dealership that happened to be trained by Grant Cardone, and I didn't even know it. And I just happened to go to his birthday party at Topgolf one day, and I overheard him and his finance manager talking about new hires. And I'm like, I literally got on my knees and begged him to please hire me.
Wow.
And he was like, show up and we'll see what we can do. Because he was super resistant. He was like, no. But I begged so much that he gave me an opportunity, and I showed up trying to look nice, but I looked fucking black. And he gave me the job anyway. And that's where I understood needs analysis.
Like a 3-piece suit, or what did you do?
Like a 3-piece suit from fucking Goodwill, brother.
That's awesome. And how long did that last? How long before you realized that's not it?
So it was wild. I didn't know myself enough then. But what happened was I go into there, I learn sales, I understand sales process and positioning and framing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was there for like 7 months. And like I had brainwashed myself because I was like, if I want to be successful, I have to brainwash myself to liking this environment. And I
Yeah.
didn't fucking even like cars. I've never liked cars. Like, it's not a thing for me. And let alone Nissans, bro. Out of all the
Yeah.
fucking cars, a Nissan.
Yeah. 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 That's
And
funny.
so I started brainwashing myself. My sales manager and I become friends. We end up partying a lot together. We do a lot of cocaine together, hang out with a lot of strippers together. And I just got trapped again into a cycle
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
drugs.
Yeah. Wow.
And one day he gets fired, and I was like, "What am I doing here?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
why am I
Especially
here?"
without him, right?
Right, exactly. Because with him, I felt like I was helping him build. But as soon as
Yeah.
he gets fired, I'm like, what? I don't even like these people. Like, why am I here? I don't even like this culture. And then I had like built respect for my sales manager, so I went to him as a confidant, and I was like, "Hey, man, I just closed like a 5K web design deal. Like, I don't really need to be here, but I don't want to feel like I let you down." And
Yeah.
he was like, "No, go do what you got to do." And he gave me the permission to quit. And I literally live streamed this. You can find it.
Wow. Wow.
The Facebook page is like Laura Egocheaga at Wesley Chapel Nissan. And I live
Wow.
streamed the moment where I quit. It's forever there.
Yeah. Well, it's not, because Facebook is deleting lives, so you
Oh, I'm going to
might.
download it
Yeah,
then.
you might need to go grab that before they download it, which is a sucky thing. But so did with your journey up to this point, did the words of your grandmother ever come back during that time?
Yeah, I mean, always, really.
Yeah.
It's just like keep focusing. But like there was always this thing, there was this embedded belief that what I was searching for was outside of me, and that
Yeah.
caused destructive patterns in my life. Um until I stepped into the power of viral growth media and building this company, and I went through a lot of internal healing, cuz the biggest reasons people don't scale is because they think things are outside of them.
Yeah.
Nothing. There's like I was on this cry for attention, and a cry for attention just means a cry for love. So I believed love was outside of me. I
Yeah.
didn't realize that I am love. I am
Mm.
abundance. I am enough.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
made in God's image. Like I
Yeah.
deserve everything God would want to give me. You know what I'm saying?
Where
So
did
the
that
beliefs
understanding
were
come
wrong.
from? Where did that understanding come from?
Healing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Healing. I also I have this client named Rest, RREST, and they developed a methodology that they go in and heal emotions from inception. So like I would tell them, like they would ask me, so what are you here for? And then I tell them where I'm having resistance and stress, and they would pick out, or they pick out the emotions tied to that resistance and stress, and then they go to the inception of that emotion and heal that emotion.
Wow.
And
Wow.
then you all you got to do is drink water and get a good night's sleep, get your 8 hours in, and you will no longer have the resistance. You will just be able to act.
Wow. Wow. And so, going a little bit back to your story, and so you left the car dealership, you had a $5,000 website project, and was that the launch of a new direction for you,
Yeah,
as
so
far as
that's when
online
I
stuff?
started my company. We named it Divide Tech because I was all about the vibe and technology.
That's awesome.
And
Nice.
that was the first company that I'd ever taken to six figures. So like literally I was at the car dealership for 7 months. 6 months later I made my first $100,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I'd already acquired the skill. I was there because I was fucking around, like at the dealership, right? Like I already had the skill, I could take action. I just hadn't given myself permission, and I needed somebody else to give me permission to take action.
So what were those skills? Going from car dealership to $100,000 business in 6 months, what were those skills that took you from that car dealership place to launching this new business and going to that figure?
Cold email and
Yeah.
sales.
Okay.
Yeah, like literally all I would focus on is scraping emails, sending out offers and follow-ups. Like my email machine was sending 1,000 emails a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
And like the funny part is like it wasn't even good. Like looking back,
Yeah. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
wasn't even that good. The VSL wasn't good, but I got rich off of one case study.
Yeah.
Like just
Wow.
one case study.
And what were you selling at that point? Was it just websites? Was it
No, at
online?
that point it was like acquisition systems. So Facebook ads, ad creative, funnel design and building, and VSL.
And were you
Exactly
just
what I
learning
was
as
putting them through.
yeah,
I
was
learned how to build my own, so I did it for them. But I niched down specifically to med spas. So I just had like at my peak at that business, I had 23 med spas clients paying me $3,500 a month or something, like 35 to 5K
wow.
a month. And it was the worst experience of my life. I wanted to die
Wow.
again.
Why is that?
Dude, just like if you're just focused on creating ads that perpetuate insecurity in other people and get your Botox in. We got a Botox special or cool sculpting and like it just wasn't my vibe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, and your company was called Vibe, so obviously it wasn't the right fit.
It just wasn't, and I was doing everything for personal gain instead of focusing on my actual life mission because I just didn't know it yet.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't have that clarity yet, so I end up shutting it down, and I take a sabbatical. I just don't work for a year, and I just travel the world and do speaking engagements. That's it.
Yeah.
And what I teach is exactly what I did with my business, right? So I spoke at the Consumer Electronics Show, Web Summit, all these big industry events, and like I still felt like I wasn't enough. But I was like,
Wow.
okay, let's rebuild. I'm done not doing something.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to help. Now, who do I want to help? And I was like, okay, I have the skill sets. It's not a skill set issue. We got the skills to help anybody, but who do we really want to help? Where do we feel like we're making a real impact? So that's where I doubled down on info products and personal brands.
Wow. Okay.
And that's how Viral Growth Media was born.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and that was you creating your own info products first, or did you launch right into helping clients with info
No,
products?
just helping clients. Yeah, not selling courses.
And so, where did that learning come from? Like you said, you realized you came to the realization that that's what you wanted to do, but where did you learn that stuff from?
It's literally it's the same infrastructure of how to build your own business, right? So we went to info products, and I'm like, okay, where are the highest ticket info products at? Where did they
Yeah. Yeah.
live?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like we were getting people that were like selling mindset stuff for $37. I'm like, what? Like, what are we doing here, guys?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, where are the biggest knowledge levers? And it turned out to be B2B firms. So B2B consulting, service delivery firms.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. And so that launched your new business when you came back from the sabbatical. So tell me about what you're doing now and the new life that you've been given through finding, your place, your thing that you want to do, your vibe, I guess. So so tell me a little bit about what you're doing now.
Yeah. So what I'm doing now, so we built like 3 years ago, we built Viral Growth Media. It was like around $14.8 million a year. And then I literally almost died.
Wow.
So like I just
Wow.
see
What
this
happened?
death
What?
thing as a theme, huh?
It seems like it's a transitional moment for you. Is somebody else's or your near death is these wake up Headsmack moments
Yeah.
for you?
What I've like brought it down or synthesized it to is that every time I'm out of alignment, my body lets me know.
Wow.
Like out of alignment with my true purpose, like
Yeah.
what I was brought on this earth for. I know there's a lot of influencers out there that are like, fuck legacy. That doesn't matter. I'll promise you it matters because when you're out of alignment, your body will tell you. And I'm telling you from someone that literally almost died because I had a
Wow.
giant cyst in my ovaries.
Wow.
Yeah, it
Wow.
was intense. And thank God that I had found my soulmate before that because she's actually my COO now. And she did not leave my side when I was at my lowest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, she stuck by me, and you have no idea how many times I gave her the opportunity to leave. I was like, take all the money in the bank account and just leave.
Wow.
And she saw something in me that I did not see in myself at that time, because I
Yeah.
was the lowest version of me at that time.
Wow. Wow. And why did you feel that you weren't worthy of somebody to be there for you?
Because I thought I was not enough.
Yeah.
I thought I was not worthy of love.
Yeah. Is that because of your history of stuff that you had done? Was that because of something somebody else had said? I know you mentioned your grandmother was an influence on some of your thinking or some of your change. Was that from something else? Where did that come from?
That's a great question. Where did that come from? I think it probably came from my dad saying over and over again, we don't have enough money.
Wow.
So that sparked the mission to go get enough, making me believe that enough was outside of me. And then once I met Russell Brunson, I adopted the belief that I was the hero. So I identified as a hero. But what happens when you identify as a hero? You create an enemy and you create struggle.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And then you got to come back home and then go out again because it's not enough.
Yeah. Right. Every villain, every hero needs a villain, and if they don't have a villain, then they've got nothing to fight.
Yeah. So I was on a mission because I knew I was on the search for truth and transformation. I didn't know that, like, in my mind, I only thought transformation happened to heroes.
Yeah.
I was playing the hero loop over and over and over again until I was like, yo, what the fuck? I can't keep carrying this weight, dude. It's too heavy.
Yeah.
My body's giving up on me.
Yeah. Wow. And so what was that transition like, that illumination, where did that come from? Was it after surviving the near-death experience of the cyst, or was there something else that created that transformation?
Like the fucking cyst thing, looking back, hindsight 2020, that was the easiest problem to solve because I just had to get a surgery.
Yeah.
But what happened around me while that whole thing was happening, my sales team fell apart. I had 23 sales reps, all of them gone because my main my VP of sales left. So what happened? I didn't build a real culture. I delegated my power. And as soon as he leaves, the whole team leaves. They weren't here for the mission and vision. They were here for that person.
Yeah.
Right. So that happens. Then, because that happens, money goes down. And at the same time, I'm over leveraged as fuck. I bought my dream house, bought like dream house on the beach, on the water, and it had a boat dock. So in my mind, I'm like, what the fuck am I going to have a boat dock if I don't have a boat? I got to buy a boat.
Right. Obviously. Yeah.
Yeah. So I bought a boat. And I bought my, I don't even have a dream car, but I was like, I want a Porsche. So I bought a Porsche. And outside looking in, I had the coolest life ever.
Yeah.
Inside looking out, I was trapped in an over leveraged prison. And hindsight 2020, who was I trying to impress? I was in this battle of attention, or trying to impress my family members because I was seeking for their love.
Yeah.
And guess what happened? Nobody came and hung out with me at that house.
Wow.
Nobody enjoyed that boat with me. None of my family did.
Wow.
Well, my grandma and my grandpa.
Yeah.
But like my cousins, the people I was actually trying to impress never made it there.
Wow.
Because I was coming from a place of ego.
Yeah. And they probably didn't know the real you, right? I mean, had you had any kind of relationship with them up to that point that they didn't really know?
No, because I had gone out on the mission, brother.
Yeah, right. You had gone on the journey, on the hero's journey, right? Yeah. And left them all behind.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So after that moment, you said a $14 million company, and then it fell apart. What was your first step towards building it back?
Auditing myself.
Yeah.
Auditing myself and because I was so over leveraged, literally everything came crashing around me. Like I had to sell everything. I had to liquidate.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had to. There was no other option. So I go on the hero's journey again. I'm like, let me reconnect with my family, with my dad's side of the family. I go and live in Peru for 14 months. And
Wow.
that was the best thing I could have ever done for myself, because that's where I learned what gratitude is.
Wow.
Go to Peru and see how people live there with no money and no opportunity like we have here. We are so fucking blessed.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
when I learned what family that loves you looks like. Not for what you got, but for who you are.
Right.
It helped me close a lot of open loops that I was searching meaning for.
Yeah. Yeah. And those open loops, man, those are devastating. You know, if you don't get any closure on stuff, yeah, those can take you to a dark place.
Yeah, but it was beautiful. Like I transmuted the pain into wisdom. But it was also really tough because like my girlfriend, my soulmate, was so angry with me that I made her make this move because she trusted me unconditionally. Like she just had faith that I was making the right move. And I was
Yeah.
making the right move for myself, but not
Right.
necessarily for her.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
actually, another death happened. My dog died in Peru. I had 3 dogs. I brought all 3 with me to Peru. In my mind, I was going to live there and I was going to bring capitalism to Peru and all these things that I wanted to do. This new hero's journey that I'm conjuring up.
You were going to save them. Yeah.
I was going to save them. and my dog dies. And that was the first time I felt like a child of, what I would imagine what a child of mine would feel like in death. And that's when I learned how to actually process grief.
Wow.
I hired a coach that taught me, she's like a Hawaiian spiritual coach. And she taught me exactly how to not identify with your emotions. Like she has this thing where like, if, you grade yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. If you're below a 6, you can't believe yourself because that's not your highest self. So like whatever you're saying, you got to ignore it because it's just not true. She taught me how important it is to drink water and take care of your vessel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's not it's about making sure that you can actually hold the power you're destined to have.
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing.
So that was a game changer.
Yeah. And so how long were you in Peru before you decided you needed to come back?
So, God works in mysterious ways. So in my mind, I was going to live in Peru forever. Like I already brainwashed myself to believe that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the love of my life, we're having a lot of conflicts, a lot of intimacy issues because she didn't feel seen and heard and she wasn't happy. She was like, I don't even have a CVS here. There's no Target. Like, little things that you like take for granted,
Right.
She's very angry. So I was like, yo, I can't, like, I really believe she is the love of my life. So like, what are we going to do here? And then it just so happened the United States made a CDC law that came into power. And it said that dogs living in high rabies countries, even if they are American dogs, will no longer be able to enter. And as soon as we were notified of that, we booked our tickets and came back home.
Wow. That's such a unique head smack for you of your dogs.
How many head smacks are we at so far?
Yeah, I know. Of your dog, the possibility of something that you love like that not being able to come back with you if you decided to come back. Wow. And so you came back, that moment triggered something in you that said, okay, I've got to go back. I've got to, reset. Were you starting from zero when you came back, or like, where were you starting from? Because you said you lost the business or you had to liquidate a lot.
I just it was so bad. I had to liquidate everything. And we rebuilt in Peru. We rebuilt stronger and better in Peru. And my biggest problem was over leverage. So lack of financial literacy, lack of wanting to even understand finance. I was doing numbers in my head and I was like, yeah, because we have amazing profit margins. Like,
right.
Cash hides inefficiencies. So I changed the chip of like, inefficiencies need to be exposed and not tolerated.
Wow.
So we
Wow.
built a system around it. And it's actually divine timing, because as soon as we built the system, we came home.
Yeah. Wow. It was time. And now you have a new toolbox. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you're helping me reflect on this. This is crazy.
Wow, I'm loving this. And so you came back with a new toolbox. You had some Headsmack moments on so many levels, and so you're back now. Your business has been continuing. Were you doing the same thing that you were doing before, just smaller, and now you've come back and you're just taking that next level?
More boundaries. So very detailed breakdown of who our ideal client was, because I have delegated my power to the sales rep. We were selling anybody and anybody. You know what I'm saying? And that's just not realistic.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's not. Like, whoever's doing that, please stop. You're going to kill yourself soon.
Right.
And so in Peru, I created those boundaries. I got very specific, and I was doing all the sales, like all of the sales. So I'm literally back to back all day acting like my own sales rep. And I hadn't done that in years, brother. Literally years. I was like, whoa, this feels different. I feel like I am getting better though. Like I understand identity. And that's been the key. Ever since that moment that I understood identity, I think more doors opened for me.
Wow.
Because it's literally the root of what we're doing now.
Yeah. So you're taking your clients through the identity process as well?
So literally, bro, like 3 days ago, I built this system and I tested it with me, so that I have this system now that tells you exactly who the highest version of you and who the lowest version of you is, and everything in between.
Oh.
And it tells you exactly what shows up in your reality if you're aligned with your highest version, and what shows up in your reality if you're not. And then there's an integration and accountability system to keep you accountable to your highest self. So it's different than these like high performance planners or whatever, because it's custom coded to the person you're destined to be. So like it's based off of your name. It's based off of your date of birth, where you were born, and what time you were born. If you don't have the last two, it's fine. But mainly the first two matter the most, because your name that you were brought into this world with is the first spell cast on your life. Think about it like that. By God.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
So, and then it does a numerology breakdown and all that stuff. And it's crazy cool. I would love to, since you invited me on here, I would love to, like, afterwards, if you want to set up a one-on-one and give you your gift, because you deserve it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That's awesome. And so, wow. Okay. So, helping people with their identity and helping them to get to, understanding a little more about themselves. Why is that so?
Not a little bit more.
So talk a little bit of why is that so important, and why are people failing without it?
I mean, think about everything I just shared with you. Like, I was so unaligned with my mission and purpose of why God brought me on this earth that my body was trying to die to wake me up, because we don't wake up without pain. So this is what I've learned, is that pain is inevitable. You have to live through pain, because the pain serves its value. The value of pain is the ability to transmute it into wisdom.
Yeah.
God wants you to acquire wisdom.
Yeah.
Right? What I didn't know that I know now is that suffering is optional. You don't have to suffer.
All right, talk about that.
Yeah. So a lot of people push this narrative of suffering. Like Jensen Wong. That's why I learned the belief, because I remember sitting in Peru in my office and seeing him do an interview, and he was like, I would never recommend entrepreneurship to anybody. And I was like, that sounds weird, because in my life, I believe entrepreneurship is actually the easiest path to enlightenment, because you have to change, you have to grow.
Right.
You grow. Like, we're here to grow. That's what humans are here to do, grow.
Right.
And I think
if you're not growing, you're dying, right?
Exactly. Which is why, like, my mission is rooted in, like, I believe. So, like, let's go back to my, like, what I believed before I ever built this system. I believed I was here, and the flash came to me after I killed my first business. I believed I was here to elevate human consciousness. Like, this is why I came on this earth. And when I heard him say, you know, entrepreneurship, I won't recommend it to anyone because it just gets harder and harder and harder, and just like, fuck that shit. And like, if you don't got to do it, he said, I don't think I would choose it again, or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, that sounds retarded. Like, that doesn't feel right. That doesn't sound right to me. And then I heard him say something, and I was like, okay, let's just push away that thing. I didn't trust my intuition enough yet. So I was like, yeah, let's just forget that feeling. Maybe I'm fucked up. This guy's rich as fuck.
Yeah.
So
And we make that mistake. We equate, you know, success with perfection, or success with some sort of higher level of
knowing.
And and so we sometimes put people on pedestals that don't really deserve it.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
I mean, not to say he's a bad, I don't want to talk anybody down. I just don't think he's realized there's another path.
Right.
So, and that's a lot of people. I don't know that many people that are on the same wavelength I am. So what he said was, because I was learning leadership, I was like, if I'm going to build a team again, it's not going to be the way I did it before. I have to change, or the same outcome is going to happen.
Right.
So I was on this hunt to understand leadership. I'm like, okay, how do I productize leadership? How the fuck does that work?
Yeah.
And the only person in my life that I actually believed was a leader was my cousin, that ended up going from a sales rep to now he owns a dealer from the Morgan Auto Group. He's an executive partner in that. So he wasn't an entrepreneur, he was an intrapreneur, and literally climbed from the bottom all the way to the top. And in record time. He's the youngest one. So I was like, this guy has figured something out. Something here. And I kept asking him questions, and he's like, I don't know, I just do. I'm like, what does that mean? Because he would tell me, he would like, I've gone to all the leadership things, and like everything they're saying is like a habit to me. Like, it's normal. It's not anything like, whoa. And I'm like, what is, like, what do I do with this? I was just so confused. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
And so I would listen to this interview by Jensen Huang, and he says, I coach up or coach out, or something around that verbiage. And he's like, I coach through pain and suffering, because you will change through pain and suffering. And I was like, okay, I just got to coach myself and put myself through a whole bunch of pain and suffering, and I'll get to that level. Because that's where your logical brain goes.
Right. Yeah. He mentioned a route, and you're like, I'm looking for routes, and so maybe that's the one I need to go.
And I'm looking for big routes. I'm looking for big impact. Who's having the biggest impact? NVIDIA.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that was a dumb belief. But you know what? It was all perfect, because I had to experience all of that to be able to value what I have now. Now I know pain is inevitable and suffering is optional. I don't have to suffer. And back to identity. Why do I not have to suffer? It's because I know exactly who my highest self is and what I was brought on this earth for. And I have zero doubt. Literally, once I did this, I don't experience fear anymore. I don't experience doubt anymore. I don't tolerate it. And when people say it to me, I'm like, hey, I literally just don't tolerate that in my life. Can you please respect my boundary? So now I'm operating. My operating system is upgraded to a 9-figure entrepreneur system. Because what I learned about billionaires is not that they're adding more. There's not more strategies, not more tactics. It's they're deleting shit. And I knew I was on the right path, because I had seen before an interview of Elon Musk where he's like, delete. I'm like, And what I learned was that God made you in his image. And God wants you to have everything. You deserve abundance. You are enough. You are love. You are all these things that this system that we're born into makes you believe is outside of you, through songs, through commercials, through movies, through all these things. There's nothing outside of you. And for you to just tap into this higher level being, it's literally through Christ consciousness. So once I learned to tap into Christ consciousness, everything changed. All the lower level emotions, fear, doubt, insecurity, like double guessing yourself, it was eliminated because I operated on faith. I just had faith that the next step would show itself. And once I
Yeah.
started paying attention to the synchronicities, brother, there are no fucking coincidences.
Interesting.
Period. And if you look at what Jesus Christ teaches, and again, forget religion, just Jesus Christ, his actions. What does he say? Be present, act. So if you just focus on the now and you act like the highest version of you, what timeline do you tap into? And there's no pain and suffering. The reason why there's no doubt, no fear, no pain and suffering is because I know what the highest version of me looks like, and I know what the lowest version of me looks like, and I know everything in between. I already know. I'm not guessing, and I know that my mission is rooted in God. Like I'm rooted in Christ consciousness. Nothing I'm saying will hurt anybody, or nothing I'm doing will hurt anybody. And for some reason, because I was like, what I did was I would go out and hire the best coach and buy their system, and then I would just do that until I acquired all the knowledge, and then transmute it into like my own proprietary thing that I figured out that would work better, right? And like the reason how I even got to this fucking thing that I have now that I'm going to give you the gift is because I was like, hey, why do the strategies work? I don't know if you know systems thinking, but it's like input, process, output, right?
Right.
And then
right.
it just redoes it. So why is the process the same, but the person that goes through it is different and they get different outputs? Why is that? Huh? And I started thinking, because when you focus on something, the answers show up. So I just started to become aware. And I was like, oh shit, it's identity. They don't have the identity of their highest self. How the fuck do I figure out what people's highest selves are?
Yeah.
How do you figure that out?
Yeah.
Right? Like, what a crazy thought. How do you figure that out? And it just so happened with divine timing that I have a partner that came into my company and partnered up with us, and he was working on something like this.
Wow.
And I was able to free up his time and create space through our systems that he was able to finish out his thesis. Then he shared his thesis with me. And then we built a system around it.
Yeah.
And now it's a machine that just decodes your destiny.
Wow. And so who are you helping with that identity? Is it mostly coaching leaders? Is it, small business owners? Like who are you able to help with this and is getting the most value out of this?
Yeah, so I just figured this out. So this is very fresh.
Yeah.
But we're still like our whole thing is B2B firms, because we're a B2B firm and we know how to take a B2B firm, make them more than 50% profitable, and we're able to exit them. We know how to sell them to bigger conglomerates like Deloitte or a PNC, like these big companies. And that's really has been our mission so far, or vision so far. Yesterday, I literally mapped out a new plan that I literally tapped into my highest self, and she was like, "This is what your business looks like at a 9-figure level." And she said, "It's all done for you systems, because we have a done with you and a done for you. It's like shift to all done for you. All the AIs that you have in your own process, put them in that done for you process, and that's your new offer."
Yeah.
So, but here's the problem, right? Like, this is why it goes back to identity. I could do that for anybody, but if they're not ready to receive, they will self-sabotage and burn it to the ground. I mean, how many times, in my own story, how many times have I done it, right?
Yeah.
So I know it will happen. So I was like, how do we fix this and just nip it in the butt and guarantee that all of our partners are successful? We give them awareness. We give them awareness to the identity that they deserve, that they were born deserving, but forgot that they're able to have because of trauma, the system trying to distract you. It's just a bunch of distractions and illusions. A bunch of illusions. A lot of
Yeah.
so like my big illusion was control. I had a problem releasing control. I want to control everything.
Yeah.
And as soon as I surrendered to my highest self and God, everything changed.
Yeah. And so, the business owner that is, some of this is really resonating for them. And, some of this is, it's stuff that people have never heard before. And,
Yeah,
I
I
come,
know I sound crazy.
no. It's, I think there's, I think there's a lot of stuff that you're saying that, aligns with traditional Christianity, but also is maybe using different language than traditional Christianity. So, there are some things that you've said that I really need to think about. There are some things, because I come from a traditional Christian background,
I come
and
from a
so
Catholic background.
yeah, and so some of the stuff that you're talking about is very relevant, and sometimes we say the same thing with different language, and but we're saying the same thing. Other times we're saying stuff that needs to be explored a little further. And so I love what you're saying about identity. It's so critical for us to understand who we are, what matters to us, what we're created for, finding what is that unique thing that God has created us for, and that all of our experiences and all of our pain and all of our failure and all of our suffering, finding a way to wrap that all up into what God wants to use that for. Because the Bible even talks about all things work together for the good. It doesn't say all things are good, because there's some things that happen to some people that are not good, and we shouldn't even say they're good.
But remember the first part you just said. All things work together for the good.
Exactly,
that means
right.
Even in the bad, it's just the catalyst for the good.
Right, exactly. Right. And so it's not that all things are good, it's all things work together for the good. And so you can take all of that, and as you've shared, you've gone through pain, you've gone through suffering, you've gone through loss, you've gone through these things, and it's now you're at a point where you're saying, I'm going to wrap all that up, and I have this identity that I want to use to propel me to the next level, right?
So the thing is, it's not that I'm using the identity, it's the awareness of the possibility of the highest version of me, and then taking action. Because if you have that awareness and you don't take massive action, what the fuck does it matter?
Right. So so after you've got that identity, what is the first action? What do you, when you work with people, and you, like you said, this is kind of fresh, and so
Fresh,
this is
brother.
pretty fresh. So what are some of the ways that you're looking at, now that you've got identity figured out, now that you're a little more aware of some things around your identity, what are you looking at as saying, okay, here's the next step, or what are you wrestling with?
Well,
Are you wrestling with that still?
Nothing. There's no wrestling because I 1,000,000,000% trust my intuition.
Yeah.
And all that matters is that I'm able to eliminate all distractions, not tolerate mediocrity in my life, not tolerate low vibrational frequencies of emotions like fear, doubt, self-sabotage, these things, right? I just choose not to tolerate it. It's a choice. We have the choice. And the next step reveals itself. Like, I have ultimate faith. I've had faith that God's got me.
Yeah. Well, and I believe when you know who you are, you know what to do.
Boom. Boom. You got it.
Because when you do have that understanding of what you were uniquely created for and what God has called you to do, then some of those next steps reveal themselves. When and it comes with businesses, and we can talk, business strategy and all of that, and I do brand strategy and all of that stuff, where you do a lot of examination of your business and yourself, and the next steps reveal themselves very clearly, because you have a fuller understanding of who you are as a business, as what you offer, what you do, and all of that stuff. So kind of taking it to that level.
Have you ever wondered why people have imposter syndrome?
I have, because
this eliminates imposter syndrome.
Yeah. Now, why do you think, for somebody that maybe they've heard the term and they're not sure of what that means. How does that manifest itself in somebody's
So the
life?
way I felt imposter syndrome was that I just wasn't enough yet. And I had to go get more results and I had to go prove more revenue. And the problem with that is that my identity was tied to those things. So what happened when I realized that we were in an AGI beginning of that timeline, I had a meltdown because what I did, I took on a project where I completely automated an SEO agency with just AI, like zero humans for service delivery, zero humans. And they
Wow.
charged $15,000 a month. And I could get them to work higher level, more output for $1,500 to $2,500 a month.
Wow.
What does that do to you if you tie your identity to revenue, to results? And like, what does that do to you? It for me, I had a meltdown.
Yeah.
I was like, what the people are not going to need me. Oh my God, I'm no longer useful. I freaked the fuck out, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
did it. I did it to myself.
Right. You created the machine and then you're like, what did I just do?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What did I just do?
Yeah.
And then it was just being like, okay, I'll figure this out. Like there will be a way that I figure it out. So I just worked through it and I'm like, okay, how do I become a billionaire in AGI? In the
Mhm.
AGI timeline. Still had not figured out my identity yet. But I just knew that my goal is to become a billionaire in an AGI timeline because that's where we're at. And I got the blueprint for that. I used
Yeah.
ChatGPT to get the blueprint. And it just gives you like literally step by step. And it's like, hey, you need to talk about empathy. Hey, you need to talk. I'm like, empathy? What? We got to talk about these things, emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that CEO was murdered. The United Healthcare guy.
Right.
So
Yeah.
he got murdered right around that time. And I was like, oh, okay, that's why we need to talk about empathy because I could bring on these systems. And if it increases decline rates by 10%, people die. And it's important to have ethics with AI. It actually
Yeah.
matters. And
Right.
that my first light bulb went off. Okay, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is serious. We
Yeah.
need to care. It is important that we care about other people. Like
Right.
the same normal capitalism structures will not serve us in AGI.
Yeah. Yeah.
Empathy is a big piece of it.
Right. Well, and it's part of being a healthy human, and that's what AI. I think pretty much for anybody that's ever used AI, the first moment they do something and they blow their own mind, is like it's one of those. It's almost a frightening moment. I remember the first time I held an iPad and started using it, the first generation iPad. I got it right away, because I'm an early adopter, and I was playing with the iPad, and then I realized after a couple of hours, wait, I haven't used a mouse or a keyboard on this device, and it was one of those what moments, like your mind is just like what did I just do? And I think with AI it's the same thing. When you create something and you have that moment where it's like I just I just did something really, really amazing in a very short amount of time. And you can get all into it a lot and get, so deep into it that you start thinking, here's how I can do this and do this and do this, and I can optimize this and change this. And then, like you said, you stop thinking about how is this affecting me and how is it affecting others as well, right?
100%, dude. 100%. So I just, from having the blueprint on how to become a billionaire in an AGI timeline, in the beginning of an AGI timeline, because I got multiple blueprints. I got one for like in it, at the end of it, and at the beginning. Because when it first gave me the end, and I was like, I gotta solve world hunger? What? Oh, that?
Yeah.
It was just too big of a reach for me. So I'm like, okay, I got to be more specific.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, where are we? We're in the beginning of it. Okay, let's just focus on that first. Let's lower the scope.
Right.
And it gave me affirmations to say because I believe in affirmations. I'm a big believer, just like Jesus Christ. I
Mhm.
am
Yeah.
very powerful. So I just started saying I am using technology and spiritual wisdom to elevate human consciousness. I just started saying it every day.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Guess what happened? This partner came into my life. This whole new thesis came into my life. I
Wow.
built the system. And now I'm actually, like, all my partners now, I'm still rounding them up because they're busy as fuck, but I'm delivering the gift to them.
Yeah.
And I let them know, hey, this is just the gift is awareness. You're aware now.
Yeah.
It's your job. I would say your moral obligation to choose to be the highest version of you.
Yeah.
And that's up to them to figure out. Like, I can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to force anybody to do shit. And I tell them that. I'm like, hey, I'm not forcing you to. Just know my frequency is my highest self. And because I'm at that frequency, if you don't come up with me, you will be repelled. Because I don't tolerate anything below my highest self.
Yeah.
It's my standard of operating. Because you only fall to your standards. You don't rise to your goals. So if you make the highest version of you your standards.
Yeah. 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 And so for the person that you're, as your business, as your mindset, as your systems, as everything evolves, who are you looking to help next?
People that are ready. The people that are tired of suffering. The people that were like me, that were tired of carrying a boulder up a hill and have a chip on their shoulder and say, look, I'm doing it. Why aren't you doing it?
Yeah.
If I can do it, you can do it. Nah, bro, we don't need to. Like, it's literally obsolete.
Yeah.
You're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
like, I'm not out here to like preach the gospel or anything. I actually talked to my highest self, and I was like, how do we awaken human consciousness in your timeline?
Yeah.
And she said, shut the fuck up.
Wow.
Act.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And just do. Execute. Stop doubting yourself. You know what you need to do. Act. Become the embodiment. The right people will wake up and they will join you.
Wow. Wow. Well, and there's actually a scripture that says, why so downcast, O my soul? Put your
Brother,
put your faith
I've
in
never
God.
read the Bible in my life. I just bought my first Bible 4 days ago, brother.
Well, you'll enjoy it. You'll enjoy it. It's a great book. I love it. But it does, it does talk about, why it's I think it's David talking to himself and saying, why so downcast, O my soul? So there is a precedent for the self-encouragement and saying, why are you doing this? Do this instead to yourself. And that self-encouragement and that self-challenging of, you're not being and thinking and doing the things that you should be doing. So I love that discussion. So what would your grandmother say to you now?
She's so proud of me. She's hugging me right now. And she's like, you are the 9-figure level of you.
Yeah.
We'll see you at the next level.
Yeah.
I feel it in my heart. My eyes are tearing up just saying it, like, for real. And I'm just so grateful. Like, I operate from gratitude and love. I don't tolerate anything less.
Yeah.
It's literally the highest vibrational frequencies. Like, why? How do I get here? Like, I put personal development on the pedestal of God, and it was a false God. It was a false God. Because like, it keeps you thinking that it's outside of you. It reinforces the hero's journey. When you just are, you're already deserving of everything. There's a version of you that just is.
Yeah.
Like, in that version of you, you just had to delete all the bullshit that they put on you. You just had to delete. There it is. You deserve everything. Like, it,
Yeah.
And it sounds woo-woo, but I have broken it down because I'm a logical thinker. So if I can't convince myself, like, it ain't working.
Yeah.
So it's literally built to help the logical thinker come to the realization that they can, and they are.
Right. It's about doging yourself, right?
What does that mean?
Doging,
Oh,
the
yeah.
Department of Government Efficiency.
Oh,
De-
for sure. I guess.
I guess you can call it DOPE, Department of Personal Efficiency.
Oh, that's great, dude. That's dope.
That's
Dope.
dope. You need to dope yourself. You need to. Your life needs to be doped, because because I think we all need to do that sometimes. I do think there are relationships we need to maybe sometimes look at and saying, those are not taking me where I believe
100%.
I need to go where God might be taking me, or those emotions, those feelings, those activities in businesses and all of that stuff. I think the idea of efficiency and optimizing and looking at stuff critically and not holding everything so tightly in your hands, that there are some things that you're holding on tightly
Let go.
that are actually chains that are
Brother,
holding
you
you
cannot
down.
receive if your hands are clenched.
Right.
You receive like this. Let go. Let go. And the reality is that some people experience so much trauma that they need help letting go, which is why I always go to Dr. Cindy Schultz, because I don't have to go apologize to anybody. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to talk to anybody. She just heals the emotion on the spot. So once I identify what's the story that's keeping me stuck, what's the story that's not allowing me to forgive and let go, I go to her and I literally she just heals it.
Wow. Laura, this has been amazing. I have loved this conversation. We're already at an hour, and it doesn't feel like it's been that long. This has been so much fun. What else do you want to, as we wrap this up, as we close this? What if you were to talk to your, younger Laura that is that business tycoon at making the 20K in 6 months? What would be the first thing you'd tell her?
You are enough. You are love. You are abundance. Just remember. That's it.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. Now, if people want to get a hold of you, they want to learn about some of the things that you're doing, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
DM me at Laura Egocheaga at Instagram. If you want to, so we're giving everything away, all of our resources, all of our tactics, all of our strategy, we're giving them all away. So DM me, and I'll literally give you the link so you have access to everything, so I can prove to you that it's not about the tactics and it's not about the strategy. Once you're done with the suffering, you'll come back and you'll realize it was never about the tactics and strategy.
Wow. And so, final question: what's something, a head smack or a question that you wish I'd asked you that I didn't ask you?
Oh no, we had a really good question. You probed really well, brother.
That's awesome. Well, thank you. Well, you have an amazing day, and thank you for coming on. And love this. A lot of stuff to think about, a lot of stuff to digest, a lot of stuff to decipher. But this has been amazing. Thank you so much, Laura.
Thank you for having me.
You are listening to Conversations with Misfits, Mavericks, and Trailblazers.